So you're thinking about moving to Matthews, North Carolina, but you're not quite sure if it's the right place for you to be, and you're kind of curious of what the good, the bad, and the ugly really are. Well, you've come to the right video. Right now, we are about to dive in and share all of the good and the bad that has to do with Matthews, North Carolina. If you're looking to learn everything about Charlotte, North Carolina, the good, the bad, everything in between, even the things you didn't know you needed to know, you've come to the right channel. Be sure to go ahead and subscribe and stay on top of all the market updates. In addition to that, if you want to know immediately when we post a video, be sure to hit that notification button and we'll get into your inbox ASAP. I get calls, texts, emails, Zoom invites every single day from people just like you looking to move to the Charlotte, North Carolina area and surrounding. Now, if that's you, whether it's 9 days or 90 days, if you're moving across the country or just across town, be sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, even we can connect with a Zoom meeting to make sure that we make your move exactly what we want it to be. So let's dive in today all about Matthews. Now, if you guys have seen my other videos on Matthews, you know that I absolutely love this part of town. It's got just about everything you could possibly want in Charlotte, but without the taxes and yet still with a great location. But there's always positives and negatives when it comes to a town, so we're going to dive in today and give you some of the high-level information. Be sure to check the description below for a link to see even more details. So let's start off with something positive, shall we? When it comes to the economy, Matthews is booming. In fact, it's actually far ahead of the rest of the average in the United States, and even a little bit ahead of Charlotte in some ways. The unemployment rate is only at 3.3%. And when we look at the US average of 6%, we are almost half of that. So yes, there are jobs and yes, people are employed. In addition to that, over the last year, we've seen an increase of 2.7% in jobs, which is really cool. Now, where I see the biggest opportunity within this town is the fact that over the next 10 years, it's expected to rise by 51%. That's right, we're supposed to be seeing an increase of 51%. Meanwhile, the rest of the United States, that's expected over the next 10 years to only go up by 33%. So when we're looking at the averages between the rest of the United States and Matthews is winning. Now, of course, there's always a downside to living in a town, any town across the country. One of the downsides to Matthews has to do with the cost of living. If we were to look at the national average as a whole, and the number was 100, Matthews comes in at 107. Now you might be thinking, well, that's not that far off, and it really isn't. When we talk about cost of living, we're not talking about New York City downtown. We're not talking about LA. This is a pretty close average to the rest of the United States, but it does come in just a little bit higher, so I have to point it out. Now, if we're talking about rent, rent for a 3-bedroom house, you're looking at about $1,400, give or take, on the average. The United States average is closer to $1,600, so that's actually lower. Now, even though it's 7.3% higher than the rest of the United States when it comes to average cost of living, we are going to see a large difference when it comes to home values. That's right, the prices of homes are much more expensive than the average in the United States. I'm going to point this out. We are talking about the entirety of the US. That means the middle states, the flyover states, the California, the New York, all of that as an average is about $230,000 for a home. We're talking your average home, big home, little home. So we're not specifying a 3-bedroom, 1,500 square foot house with all of these extra little upgrades, right? So it's just your standard home. Now, if we were to compare the same way, Matthews' average home price is $365,000. So is it higher? Yes. Is it within range for the rest of the Charlotte and surrounding areas? Absolutely. So you're not really overpaying. This is not something that's going to be a crazy expense outside of the norm. It's going to come right in line with the area, and you can find a really nice home in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. So let's jump back to some of the pros. And here we're going to talk about education. That's right, Matthews, as I see it, is really just a part of Charlotte if you really look at it on a map. But when we were talking about it, it is its own town. So Matthews itself has 18 schools within its city or town borders, and 5 of them are actually private schools, which is very interesting. Now, when we look at the demographics of the people that live in Matthews, 54% of them have a college degree. In addition to that, 95% of the people that live there also have a high school diploma. Now, this may not seem like a big deal, but when you're taking a look at the individuals that are living in a certain area, part of this is why we're seeing such a boom in the economy. It's definitely something to take note of. All right, we're going back to the negative side of the scale, and right now we're going to talk about crime. Now, I get this question a lot from a lot of my clients. Is it safe? Is this somewhere I want to live? Well, here's the thing. There is absolutely nowhere in the United States or anywhere in the world that is immune to crime. Crime happens. But if we want to take a closer look at the statistics, let's take a deeper dive. Now, once again, I want to look at this when we're talking about a comparison between the rest or the average of the United States to what's going on in Matthews. Now, the rest of the United States, violent crime is at 22.7, all right? When we're talking about Matthews, it's only at 2.6. It is a huge difference. So yes, there's very little violent crime. Now, when we talk about property crime, that's a little bit different. The United States and Matthews are right neck and neck. The US average for property crimes or any kind of crime such as on properties is 35.4. Matthews comes in at 34.8. So they are very close to the US average, but once again, not going over the US average. It still comes under, so that's great. And another thing to note, Matthews is safer than 6% of other US cities. So yes, it is a safe place to be. Yes, you will enjoy your time there, and no, there's really nothing to worry about. So all of this is technically a positive, but hey, it's crime. We gotta put it in the negative spot. All right, back up to the positives. Let's talk about demographics. Now, the demographics of a particular region, state, city, etc., they're always different. But because for someone that lives in Charlotte and lives and knows the Matthews area, it is highly diverse, which is fantastic. And once again, I have some links below that you guys can check out for more details on these percentages. But Matthews is a highly diverse area. Now, with a population of a little over 33,000, you would have to wonder, well, who's there? Yes, it is a lot of families, but there's also a lot of singles. There's also a lot of people that are retired. You are going to find your biggest concentration of ages between 25 and 55. That does seem to show to be the most popular ages in this area, in this town. But just know, there are certain neighborhoods that maybe are a little bit younger. There are some neighborhoods that are maybe a little bit older. And everybody is a melting pot when it comes to the demographics of ethnicity and background. There really is no line. So definitely a pro. Back up to the or back down to the negatives. Down is negative. Let's talk a little bit about the actual challenges with Matthews, and that's population growth. Yes, Matthews has become a very popular spot. Of course, as people are moving outside of Charlotte, they see the opportunity for Matthews. Why? It's a great location, easy to get to, and there's properties available, which is wonderful, for an affordable value, which we already talked about. Now, why is this a bad thing? Well, as populations grow, prices go up a little bit. In addition to that, obviously you're gonna have a little bit more traffic, more people, more everything. But this also offers more opportunity, such as new restaurants and shops and businesses. So it's a little bit of a pro with a con on this one. The con or the negative side is there's more people. The good side is it does open up opportunity for economy and growth, which is a good thing. Everybody wants their property value to go up. So once you get in, hold on. Now, with that being said, this goes right back into the positive. Yes, the sprawl and the growth of the area is a huge positive to those who live there. Not only is it part of Mecklenburg County and within the 45 loop, at least most of it, but it has really easy driving distance to get into town or get out of town. In addition to that, the home values are slightly under what's being offered in the average price point of Charlotte. So you could still get a home possibly for less than Charlotte prices. And in addition to that, over the last 10 years, the values of properties in this area, in Matthews, have gone up 8.2% year over year on average. Now, granted, we know that in 2020 and 2021, it saw its biggest growth, but we're talking about averages. Now, over the next several years, it is expected to stay on this path between 6 to 8% in growth over the next several years. So, is it a good time to get in? Yes, there's always going to be growth and equity. But one thing to keep in mind is as this population grows and as sprawl continues, there may be fewer homes. So if you could find an adorable home in Matthews, grab it, move in, and make it home for you and watch the equity rise. So in summary, yes, there's a lot of great things and not so great things about Matthews, but that's like any city across the country. So keep in mind, if you're thinking of moving to Matthews, give us a shout, whether it's 9 days or 90 days, whether you're moving across the country or just across town. I'd love to help you find your perfect home and make your move exactly what you want it to be. Until next time, I look forward to showing you around town.